to Scratch. Now that we have a basic understanding of Scratch and how to navigate through our categories, let's make our first interactive game, Boat Race. So today we'll be making a game where we will move a boat using our computer mouse. We are responsible for navigating our boat safely through a race course and other obstacles. We'll be racing to see who can get to the island the fastest. The island is in the bottom right corner right here, and you can see some sand right there. Here's what we will learn from the boat race. We will learn how to use operators to compare numbers, how to see when we are touching a certain color, how to use variables to record time, how to move a character using a mouse pointer. And let's get started. Today we're going to begin class by remixing a project. Remixing a project allows us to borrow backgrounds and sprites. Link to the remixable project is down below. Press the green button to remix and you are ready to go. If you don't happen to see the green button, make sure you are signed in on the top right corner of the screen. Once you click on the green remix button, we will be inside our Scratch editor again. And if you notice, there are some things here for us already. Now that we remixed the project, we will have the boat sprite. We will have our course, and we will have the island with the sand. Now we are responsible for coding our game and adding other cool components. First, we'll be adding movement to our boat. So let's go ahead and click on the boat sprite and let's start adding some movement. In this game, we'll be controlling our boat using the mouse pointer. Add this code to the boat sprite so when the green flag is clicked, our boat points straight up. And it goes to the bottom left corner and wait code block in here as well. Then we will need to add a forever loop. That way it's consistently happening. Inside this loop, we will add a point towards code block that will face our mouse pointer. Then add a move one step code block so that our boat actually moves. And here is the following code and then try it out on your boat. So let's go ahead and try this code. We're going to need a trigger when the green flag is clicked. Let's navigate to events. And it will be the first code block when green flag is clicked. Point in direction 0. That way it points north. So that is a motion. That way we are faced north. So let's go into motion category. That way we can point in the direction north, which is 0. Then we will go to a coordinate, X and Y. So again, that is movement. So let's go back and look for go to X and Y coordinate. We will add a wait 1 second block. That is in controls to control the time and how the program flows. Next, we need a forever loop. That way the boat consistently moves in our project. So that is in controls, a flow of the project again. Let's go back. Then we will consistently point towards the mouse pointer and move 1 step. Both motion categories. Let's go ahead and find point towards mouse pointer and move. Let's edit the bubble. Move 1 step. And now to test out your program, go ahead and click the green flag to test it out. Once you click the green flag, you will notice that your boat starts to move. Now, take this moment to test out your game and notice that there are some few glitches in our game. Take a moment to figure out some of them. And some of them we may need to fix to improve our movement. So let's go ahead and stop our program. And we're going to go ahead and fix our boat movement now. Fixing our boat movement. Now that you tried your boat movement out, wasn't there something that you noticed from our boat that looked funny? What happened when you left your mouse still and the boat was right under your mouse? You'll notice that when you left your mouse still, pretend we are waiting for an obstacle to pass, we have a glitch. But no fear, we have a solution for this. Let's go ahead and fix this issue, and we need to add the following code/condition. Only move our boat if the pixels to the mouse is greater than 5 pixels. Now, make the following changes to your current code currently, and then test out your game again. So now we are going to add a condition to our movement that it needs to be greater than 5 pixels in order to move. So let's go ahead and add in a new condition, a control, and let's add a scenario that if we want to say that the mouse pointer, the distance to the mouse pointer needs to be greater than 5. So that is an operator. We are comparing something. Let's go into the green section, operators, and let's grab the greater than block. And like we said, we need the distance to the mouse pointer. So we are sensing how far we are getting to a sprite or object. So let's go into the sensing category and let's find distance to mouse pointer. Because if the distance to the mouse pointer is greater than 5 pixels, your boat will not move. The code will eventually not work unless you went away 5 pixels. And test it out. You should also be able to stop without the glitch. And then move away. Now you also notice that our boat can go through walls. So we're going to need to add a color sensor. That way when we touch the brown walls, we will detect collision. Let's use a touching color sensor for we can detect the walls. So let's go ahead and navigate to our sensing category, and we are touching a color. Next, we need to click on the green color you see and choose the tooltip option at the bottom. So right now our color is pink. So let's click on the color that's showing and let's use the tooltip. Once we click on the tooltip at the bottom, then we should go ahead to our game and we will see something like this. And let's select the brown wall. So let's go ahead and click on the brown wall. That way we are touching the color brown. Finally, your code should look something like this. So now that we have our color sensor, we can work on our crashing detection. Great work so far. Now it's time to code the actual crashing mechanism for our game. In order to do this, we need our program to do the following. First, we need to find what costume our current sprite has. At the top left of your screen, click on the Costume tab. Let's navigate to the top left portion, and there is the Costume tab. You can see that our sprite has 2 costumes, one that is normal and one that looks like our boat is crashed. We will use both of these costumes for our next portion. So here's a hint. If our sprite touches the color brown, then we want to switch the costume to normal 2. Then say, "Aw man, game over" for 2 seconds. Then switch back to normal costume and go back to the starting line. So we're going to need a new condition for our program. Let's go ahead and grab a if condition. So we're going to navigate back to our coding tab and let's go into control. Let's make some space in our coding environment by zooming out with the magnifying glass. And let's grab the if then statement and put it underneath. Make sure both statements are separated and that they are not inside one another like so. Make sure the yellow line separates both statements. Let's take a look at our hint. If our sprite touches the color brown, so that is our condition, if touching color brown. Then we want to switch to the costume normal. So let's add the following code to your game. You're also going to have to switch back to the normal costume after the green flag is clicked. So let's switch to normal 2, say "All man game over" for 2 seconds, and switch the costume back to normal. So let's go ahead and grab a looks category to switch costume to normal 2. Then we will say something for 2 seconds. Feel free to type in whatever you want whenever you crash. I will say, "Aw man, game over." Then we will switch costume back to normal. That way we can go back to the position of where we started. We will point in the direction north, 0, and go to the original coordinates we started at and wait 1. So we're going to do the top code, but instead that it's going to be inside our if touching brown. That way whenever we touch a brown wall, we will be resetted automatically. So back into the motion category, for we can point in direction north, which is 0. Then we will go to these coordinates again. Let's use the same numbers on top. Negative 190 for the X and negative 150 for the Y. And then add in a wait block. Feel free to test out your code with the green flag. Now we no longer have the glitch of going through walls. We will be crashing every time we try to go through them. So now try your best to make your boat through the safety course. Now the next thing we need to do to our game is a way for our players to win. In order to do this, we need to check if the boat has reached the island. Notice that the end of the course has a yellow sandy area in the corner. We want to do the following into our program. Here's a hint. We're going to check to see if we touch the color yellow, then say "you win," and then stop all. Let's add the following code into our forever loop and test it out at the finish line. So we're adding a new condition to our program. So let's go back into controls to add in a new if statement. Let's zoom out again to make some room. For we can add in a new if then. Again, make sure they are not inside one another, that they are all separate statements. And we are going to now be touching a new color. Let's grab another color sensing block in sensing. We are touching the color, the yellow sand. So let's click the color that's inside and use the tooltip. And let's select the yellow sand. That way, if touching color yellow, we can say something. Let's say a congratulations. You win. And then for the program to stop running, let's go into controls and scroll all the way to the bottom, the fourth to last, to stop all. Feel free to test out your program and make sure your boat safely goes through your course. Because remember, we have a crashing mechanism. So take your time going through your course. And we are trying to make it to the yellow sand. Let's see. We will add some obstacles in the way. That way our course is a bit more trickier. And perhaps some power-ups as well. So let's see, we're almost there. So this statement won't work until we reach the island. Once we reach the yellow sand, you will see you win. Awesome. Let's go ahead. It's time to make our game a bit more interesting. Let's add a timer to our game to see how fast we can beat this game. To do this, we need to add a variable. So let's head over to the variable tab in our coding palette and click on make a variable. It's time to make our game a bit more interesting. Palette and click on make a variable. So let's navigate to the left to variables, for we can make a variable. You can name your new variable timer and click OK. Once you've clicked OK, you will notice that you have a timer in your stage. Feel free to move it wherever you like in your background. So let's go ahead and create the timer and then click OK. Now let's create the code for our timer. We want our program to do the following. Here's a hint. When the green flag is clicked, we will set the timer to 0. Next, we will add a 1 second pause. So wait 1 second. Then add a forever loop. Inside the forever loop, we want to wait 0.1 seconds, then change the timer by 0.1 seconds. So add this code to your sprite and test it out. You should see your timer variable in your game. So let's go ahead and add this in. We're going to need a new trigger on top, when flag clicked. So let's make a new trigger in events. When flag is clicked. Let's begin by setting timer to 0 and adding a 1 second pause. So let's navigate back to variables to set our new variable timer to 0. And then we can add in a control to add in the wait 1 second pause. Then let's add the forever loop. For inside the forever loop, we can wait 1 second and change the timer by 0.1. So let's do a control for we can consistently do something. That way we can forever wait 0.1 seconds. So let's wait 0.1 seconds. And we can then change our timer. So change our variable timer by 0.1. So now when you click the flag, you should have a timer keeping track of how fast it will take you to get to the sand. Now it takes us a little bit to get there. So let's go ahead and add some boost. Right now our game is way too easy for us. So let's make it harder by adding and drawing some boosters. These boosters will speed up our boat whenever it touches a booster. Let's draw some arrows for our booster in our background. Can you guess how we would do that? Well, you've guessed it. We're going to click it on our backdrop in the stage area, and then click on backdrops on the top left. And then lastly, we will use the paintbrush tool in order to draw in our boosters. Make sure that these are used in a white color for the boosters. So the first step, we're going to navigate to the right side of our editor to the stage and click on the stage. Let's then go ahead and click on the top left, for we can click on the backdrop tab. So backdrops tab. And then let's use the paintbrush to draw in some arrows. So I like to change my fill to white by turning down the saturation. And then let's use the paintbrush to draw in some arrows on our course. So feel free to draw in the arrows however you like. Maybe you have a row of arrows or singles. And that should be good enough. Once you've drawn your arrows, you can navigate back to your coding tab and click on the boat sprite. So, coding the boosters. Now we need to add in more code blocks to the boat's forever loop, that when the boat sprite moves, it will move those 3 extra steps when touching a white arrow. Then test your game out again. Here is what your code should look like. So here's a hint. If our boat sprite is touching the color white, then we need to move our boat to move 5 steps. Add the following code inside the forever loop and then test out your game, again to make sure the boosters are working. So we need a new if condition with a new color sensor. So let's navigate back to our older code. And let's add in a new statement, a new if then. And again, make sure they are separated. And if touching color white. So let's use the color, the sensing touching color. And let's select the color to change it to the white arrow. So if touching color white, we will move 3 extra steps. So test out your game by clicking the green flag, and whenever you go over your booster, you will now get a little speed up. Whoop, you saw that? I'll go around this one. Whoop. Awesome. And again, if you want to add in more arrows, just navigate back to your backgrounds, your stage, backdrops, and you can add in more arrows if you would like. Yep, and make sure that it is working properly. Let's create a spinning gate to act as a trap. It will spin around, so it will not be super easy for a boat to get to the island. Hover over to the Create Sprite button, the cat face, and then click on the Paintbrush button. So let's create a spinning gate to act as a trap. It will spin around. Hover to the right side of our Scratch editor, for we can choose a sprite, but instead, let's paint one instead. That way we can draw the gate sprite. But first, we need to grab the color of the other walls. So to do this, let's go ahead and click on Backdrops, Stage very quickly. And let's fill the color with the brown wall. And then navigate back to your original sprite we painted. And that way we have the exact color. We use the eyedropper to grab the color of the walls. And then using the rectangle tool, draw in a rectangle for the gate. One very important note. Let's make sure when we draw in our rectangle, so let's adjust our size a little bit. But the most important thing is, let's go ahead and grab it by the plus sign. And let's make sure that it is centered with this centering tool right here. That way when it spins, it will spin on its center. And then let's go back to the coding tab for we can then code the spinning gate. So now let's go to the code button to the top left and we can make the gate rotate slowly. Here's a hint. When the green flag is clicked, forever, the gate needs to turn 1 degree. So let's add this code to your gate sprite and then see it in motion by clicking the green flag. So let's test out this code here. So we need a trigger, a forever block, and a motion. So let's do that. We are going to trigger it when flag clicked. And we want it to consistently keep turning. So that is a control to do something forever. It's going to forever turn 1 degrees. So let's use a turn 1 degrees. Let's change that. And feel free to place your spinning gate wherever you like. Perhaps here. Just make sure it is possible to get past by it. I'm going to put mine around here to act as a double gate. And if we click the flag, you will see your gate in motion. So let's see if it works. I'm going to purposely crash and see, it will set me back to the beginning. Now, depending which way you want the gate turning, I may want the gate turning in an opening direction. So far, it is closing in on me, so I'm going to turn it the other way. I'm going to turn it 1 degrees. That way, it seems like it is opening and closing. Yep. And it will act as a brown color sensor because we are touching the gate. And I'll purposely fail again. And the gate should work great. First off, I just want to congratulate you on completing your first interactive game. If you wish to continue working on this game and some more interesting features, feel free to try out some of these challenges, such as adding more moving gate sprites, adding a second boat sprite to make the game 2-player. You will have to change the movement for the keyboard though, as there aren't 2 mouses on a computer. Add more backgrounds to create more levels. So the possibilities are endless. So feel free to add in more features on your own time. Again, if you have any questions about this project or how to get to this project, feel free to contact AI Code Academy to help you. And here is the final code for our boat race. See you next time.